A very good morning, everyone. I am Umang, Assistant Professor of English at Chandigarh Group of Colleges, Jhanjheri, and I, on behalf of our President, Sardar Ishpal Singh Dhaliwal, Director Principals, Heads, Faculty, and all the students, extend a very warm welcome to all the attendees of this webinar on Best HR Practices organized by the FOM. Ms. Chandneet Bindra, who will be the guest speaker for the webinar, is a senior human resource business partner and has shaped high-performing cultures and major growth brands with progressive technical resources and robust development programs. She is currently working with ICAI Hospitals Ludhiana and Excelsior Public Relations Private Limited and has earlier worked with many renowned names like Apollo Hospitals, Hero Cycles Private Limited, and HDFC Standard Life Insurance. She has innumerable achievements to her credit. To name a few, National Award for Excellence in Healthcare for Excellence in Training and Development in 2016, National Award for Excellence in Healthcare for the Best Patient Safety Initiative in Healthcare 2016, FICCI Patient Safety Award in 2014, and many more. Besides, she has effectively handled the demerger group with Apollo Group of Hospitals, resulting in zero attrition. We are honored to have you among us, ma'am. You may please now take over and address the students. Thank you.
So thank you, Ms. Umang, for extending such a warm welcome to me. I would also like to extend my gratitude to the Chandigarh Group of Colleges for giving me an opportunity, as well as the event coordinators of this organization, of this institute, for giving me an opportunity to share my learning, my experience, my industrial exposure with the students of the institute. And now coming over to the presentation. So good morning to all the would-be HR professionals who are going to step into the corporate world when the entire world is in the phase of transition and transformation. Worldwide, these are the challenging times for the business, financial, operational, and HR strategists in order to keep up with the volatile as well as an unpredictable market scenario and build up an effective and optimal strategies which will help all of us to sail through this phase and last long. Also, these have been the most rough, challenging, and action-packed phase for most of the HR professionals across industry. So all of you who are the would-be HR professionals, you are going to step into the corporate world at this point of the phase wherein you would be exposed to the newness of the business. I again mark my words that please mark my words, it's going to be the newness of the business. You would see a lot of transformations, not only in HR, but in all the spheres of industry. So in the next 75 minutes, I would run you through my presentation of 75 minutes of inspiring HR practices. Which will give you an insight of how to stitch each and every employee of the organization together with the beliefs, value systems, and vision, and weave a fabric which is going to give a shape of an organizational culture that would form a rock solid knee of the company and becomes its unique strength. So time is changing and so are we. Years ago, HRD was referred as personnel, was primarily charged with the various activities. Like till now, I think in most of the organizations, I could see the personnel department, wherein the people are the personnel officers and they are responsible for monitoring administrative function, keeping employee records. They check whether the rules and the laid down rules and regulations of the organization are compliant, are adhering to the labor law compliances, and also determining the wages and compensation packages and the other benefits. But then over the years, the pace of organization has changed drastically. Initially, what people were known as personnel officers today are known as HR specialists. So they are known as HR professionals. So today, in the digital era of HR, the personnel and administrative functions are no more critical. People who are the HR professionals are focusing on strengthening organization's culture to create a long-lasting team bonds by focusing on managing employee engagement, engaging employees to increase their productivity. They're managing talent to retain employees, forecasting future manpower requirements by managing data and analyzing trends. But the time is not, it's not that it has stopped here. We still have to move on. And post pandemic, that is going to be you who's going to face this post pandemic when you're going to enter the corporate world. The HR specialists would have a bigger, a major, and a very different and a key role to play in the organizations as HR strategists. At this point in time, also, like I had a basically an experience of more than 15 years. I had been working and I had been playing a role of an HR strategist. But now, from henceforth, people who are going to join at a junior level as well as the segment of the HR fraternity would be exposed and they would be expected to work as HR specialists and HR strategists. And whatever role they would be looking after, they would be expected that they work as an HR strategist rather than just working as an HR professional and just looking after the day-to-day HR gamut of activities which are being performed in the organization. So they would be shaped up by their seniors in such a manner that they are going to be working and engaging with the organization not as an HR professional, but as an HR specialist. So this HR specialist is going to be the buzzword in times to come. The 21st century HR professionals, there were basically when I started my career in HR profession as an HR professional. So I was expected to work, first of all, at a very junior level and look after the entire HR activities which were being performed in the organization as a mentor and a buddy. Then, as I grew with the organization and the organization also grew when I was associated with SPS hospitals, I was given a charge of a strategist. And then further, after 10 to 11 years working with the organization, I was basically responsible and accountable to be a steward of the culture of the organization. But the game doesn't stop here. Now, from you as an HR professional, the organizations are going to expect being a steward of the culture, strategist, mentor, buddy, but also a change driver, a thought leader, which is very important, and a pathfinder. So you would not be in a mode of being reactive. आज कुछ हो गया, आप react कर रहे हैं, but the organization would expect you to be proactive. That you be a thought leader, you tell them that the times are changing, this is what I could foresee, and this is how the organization has to actually shape up in order to grow and be at the top and sustain that top position. So here is that this is what the expectation of the organizations would depend from all you guys. So are we ready to create an inspiring culture? Are you ready that once you step into the corporate world, you are going to make your own story? You're going to write your own story by being so powerful, inspiring, and compelling that everyone who's around you inspires with what you drive. So be a change driver. Are you ready for it? If yes, then how are you going to inspire the culture of the organization? How are you going to build the organization's culture? The organization is not built, the culture is not built in one day. It is the journey, and the HR drivers keep on working hard. They keep on working hard in building up the culture and then sustaining that culture through thick and thin of the organization. So you being the HR specialist, your major role would be not only creating but sustaining a great workplace culture by exploring new ways, innovative ways to make your company a great place to work. But then, great places to work are not built just like that. It is built through day to day relationships that employees experience, and what they experience and what is common in that relationship is trust. You have to, as a custodian of the entire organization's culture, you have to ensure that the culture basically is based on the value of trust, that any employee who works for this organization, they trust the people they work for, which is very important. And it's a very fine thread. They take pride, the employees take pride in whatever they do. So, whatever the organization they work for, they take pride in going each day to that organization, being the brand ambassador of whatever role is being given to them. And then they come out in a very effective way with a smile on their faces. They also, as a custodian of the culture, organization culture, you would also be responsible for making it the organization a happy place to work for, because the employees, they should enjoy each day working with their peer group, working with their leaders, working with their subordinates, and the people as such as a whole. So they enjoy with the people they work with. Last but not the least, they would expect, the employees would expect that there's an element of respect which they owe from their employers, their seniors, their juniors, their peer group. So they basically would expect that they are treated in a very fair manner, and they're treated well while being associated with the organization. So these things, trust, pride, enjoy, respect, they seem to be very simple words. But when we, as the custodian of the culture, the HR specialist, it basically each day you would be seeing yourself struggling with these parameters, with these things, that people would be coming to you and they would be saying that my leader does not treat me well, my juniors don't talk to me, I'm not enjoying myself, I want to leave this organization. So these will be the small things, but it goes a long way. And the way you shape up the culture of the organization, that goes a long way for you, and you create the neve, a rock solid neve of the organization. um, as I mentioned about, I'm again and again saying organization culture, because when we would be, I would be sharing the inspiring practices, HR practices, all these practices contribute and make a rock solid culture. So you as an HR professional would be responsible for making your workplace a great place to work at. While I was associated with SPS Apollo Hospitals, we had created a lot of, we had come up with a lot of HR inspiring practices. And then we wanted to go in for the Great Place to Work at survey. And we were the first hospital to go in for that survey. Usually you would see all the IT companies, the manufacturing companies for going in for the Great Place to Work survey. But then being in hospital, we wanted to actually wanted to compete with the organizations like Google, Deloitte, and all those stuff. So when I was as an head HR, I wanted to. I had a conversation with the CEO of. I had an interview with the CEO of Great Places to Work at, and he had to ask me that it's fine that you're talking about the organizational culture. You're saying that we have this, we have these policies, we have these processes in place. I would like to understand from you and from your people that these are the parameters like welcoming, inspiring, thanking, celebrating, rewarding, developing, balancing, contributing, speaking, supporting, listening, sharing, and caring. These together form a very rich organizational culture. And what is your role in providing all these parameters to your employees, and how the employees are taking it while they're associated with the organization? It's not that it's just on a piece of paper, but we would like to understand and hear from the people who are actually experiencing all these parameters in their day-to-day working. That made my job very, very tough, believe me. I thought HR is not difficult, it's an easy job, but this made me slog hard, because it was every day that I had to make everyone experience these things in the day-to-day activities, which is not easy, believe me, because it's not me who's going to give them that experience. It's so many people who are involved, their team leaders, their employees, their team members, their seniors, the top management, who actually come together and provide people with these kind of parameters and make the experience uh, the best experience ever while they're working with the organization. So over to the inspiring people practices in HR. I would like to share that when I was I had an interview with the Great Place to Work at CEO. He asked me that how your this welcoming. We were talking about the welcoming that induction program. So he wanted to know from me that how is the induction program of the organization aligned with the culture, how well we place the employees, the newbies into the culture of the organization. And he gave me a very good example of Centis. Centis is an organization which is a pharmaceutical company. He told that Johnny, that at Centis, any employee who joins the organization builds a very strong connection, not only with the employee, but from day one, they build a very strong connection with the family members of the new joinee of Centis by sending them a bouquet of flowers and taking them on a trip to the location where the candidate is going to be placed and going to join. And how is your induction process different from Centis, or you can say is better than Centis? So again, that was a very interesting question what he had put it to me across to me. Um, we had to actually think about it, that how we make our induction and a memorable experience to any candidate who joins. But before coming up with this induction process, we needed to understand that being in healthcare, what are the challenges we are being facing when a new candidate joins the organization. So the first and the foremost challenge what we were facing was that any newbie who used to join the organization, the first 90 days, that is the 3 months, were very critical, because at that point in time, जब भी एक employee organization को छोड़ के दूसरी organization में आता है, उसके he's like he behaves like a kid, is very inquisitive. यहाँ क्या होगा, मैं सेटल हो पाऊंगा, मेरा बॉस कैसा होगा, मेरा वर्क एनवायरनमेंट कैसा होगा, पॉलिसीज कैसी होंगी, लीव पॉलिसी कैसी होगी, मुझे लीव मिलेगी कि नहीं मिलेगी, बिकॉज दैट पर्सन इज एक्चुअली what you say is very comfortable in the previous organization, and he has to leave, he leaves that comfort zone and comes to a new and a challenging environment where he or she takes another 6 months or 1 year's time to settle down. So just keeping all these things in mind, we made our induction process in such a manner that that experience for that newbie was never that he's joining a new organization. It was that he or she is transiting to a organization which is new yet is very welcoming and would keep that person at ease. So we had employed an induction officer who used to act as a buddy to the newbies. So the first and the foremost role of that induction officer was in my team that he or she has to act as a buddy to any candidate. And as soon as we used to offer the letter of intent, is that we used to make an offer to the candidate, our induction process used to start. So our induction never started when the organization stepped in. It started when we had issued the letter of intent to the candidate, and it ensured, it reflected that that candidate is now the part of the organization of SPS, and it is SPS's responsibility to take care of the candidate. So we started with pre-joining welcome. So pre-joining formalities, induction formalities, it comprised of a welcome call by the induction officer in my team. Then all the small things like the office of the candidate, the workstation of the candidate was taken care of. वो बिल्कुल तैयार रहता था. We used to decorate the workplace of the candidate the day that candidate used to join with balloons. And then we used to ensure that stationery, diary, pen, pencils, everything is stepler, everything is in the workstation. It is made available as soon as that employee joins the organization. The diary, because these small things are very, very important. Otherwise, that candidate is lost for the first 1 week. So apart from it, we used to ensure अगर किसी को laptop देना है तो उसका laptop पहले से ही ready हो जाता था before the candidate joins, so it was there along with the official SIM, phone, and these small things and the business card. So these small things are very important. A business card is very important. A marketing person joins, he needs a business card because he wants to get into the market, and the organization expects the marketing professional to start working from day one. But that person is your brand ambassador, and without even having a business card, how that person can go, and then when he meets the clients, he says that I'm a fresher, or I'm a new joining the candidate in the organization. I don't have a business card. So all these things, these stationaries, we used to ensure that they are in place, and that is how these small things, they go a long way. And the employee is not, the new candidate, the candidate is not felt lost in the organization from day one. So these pre-joining formalities, apart from it, it never stopped here. Apart from it, any employee who was an outstationed candidate who used to join us, the hostel, we had a hostel accommodation. So the room was made available and was ready for that. We used to ensure that the room is ready for the candidate. Along with it, the car used to go and pick up the candidate from the railway station or the bus stop to the hospital. And we had the medical professionals who were outstationed, so the HR team used to ensure that we help them in getting a new house, as well as if they had their kids, the admission of the kids in the school like DPS and the good top-notch PCM Sacred Heart Convent schools of Ludhiana, we used to ensure that their kids get admission. So these small, I don't think so that admissions is a small thing, but all these things were being looked after by the HR buddy. That is how we named that professional as a buddy. So these were the pre-joining welcome formalities. Apart from it, our induction program was like we used to have. I had seen in many organizations the induction program is 1 day or 2 days, but ours was a 90 days induction program. It was like 2 days general orientation, wherein we used to sensitize the employee on the various processes and protocols of the organization. Then it used to be followed by a department specific and a role specific induction program. I repeat, we had a 3 months orientation program, which was a 2 days general orientation program, followed by a department specific. For most of you who are here in HR, would have only must have seen only the 2 days general orientation. Department specific and role specific must be something for few of them a new word, that what is this orientation all about. So we had a department specific and role specific induction program, and we used to ensure it that the buddy, we had a checklist, all the protocols were laid down in those checklist, and we had identified mentors. Like when the 2 days orientation program, general orientation program used to get finished, we used to hand over that employee to the respective department head. Supposedly, a nurse had joined. That nurse had undergone a 2 days orientation program. 2 दिन के orientation के program के बाद that nurse used to be handed over to the nursing superintendent. अब nursing superintendent उसको ICU में डाल रही है. So ICU में we had identified a mentor. So in all the units, we had identified mentors who were the senior nurses or the senior professionals who used to act as a mentor and a guide and a teacher to that new candidate, and used to sensitize the candidate on department specific protocols as well as the role specific protocols. I would cite an example of an HR department. Supposedly, a candidate joined in HR and was supposed to look after the recruitment profile. But in HR, we were looking after recruitments, trainings and development, and employee engagement, welfare, compensation, comp and ben. So labor laws. So there were a lot of activities which were happening, employee exit. So that HR candidate who was supposed to work, who had joined as a recruitment professional, was given a 2 days orientation program, followed by a department specific orientation program by a mentor. wherein that person, professional, was sensitized to all the department activities which were being performed, like recruitment, training and development, manpower planning, exit administration, labor laws, everything. So that person used to be sensitized on all the protocols that were being followed in the department. And then specifically a role specific induction program, which was specifically on recruitment, talent acquisition, manpower planning, specific to the role of that newbie. And after 3 months, that newbie used to undergo a competency assessment, and then further used to take charge of the role independently. So this is how we used to have a 3 months or a 90 days orientation program with the help of a mentor. Now it's seen that in induction we had a buddy and a mentor. So when an employee used to join, it was never that the employee didn't know where to come. So we had identified a room which was known as a step-in point, and in that step-in point we used to specifically exclusively give induction programs. So it was made a very lively room with a very good decor, so that all the anxieties of the newbies were kept at rest. So it was being decorated on the day of induction with balloons, and we used to have a lot of games. We used to have a cake cutting ceremony for our newbies. So there was a lot of things that they used to feel that yes, they're welcomed in the organization and they are at home. So they're not joining new organization, but they are at home in the organization with us. We also had a induction kit, in which in this induction kit we had the pocket booklets. So there were three kinds of booklets. One was a darpan, neef. So these were the names of the booklet, and the safety booklet. So we had jotted down our policies and protocols in one of the booklets. In the other booklets, there were like the various protocols while they are in the work area. They should know, as hazmat, as BLS. So these kind of things which they should know. And third was on the safety protocols. While they're working, they should be conversant with whatever the safety protocols of the organization are. So these were the pocket booklets which were ready reference, which helped us ready reference for these employees, so that if they don't understand what to do and what is a protocol, they could just open the book and go through that process. So this was we had designed for the newbies. Apart from it, we also had the induction assessment. So this induction assessment gave us an overview that how our faculty of induction. So there were like 10 programs during the first 2 days of the orientation program. So people were being sensitized on various processes. So the faculty which was involved in downloading the information about the processes of the organization. So we used to have the induction assessment of the new candidates, so that we used to understand, we got an insight that how the faculty is ensuring that the induction is very, very fruitful as well as effective, and the downloading of information is really smooth. So this was a very important thing. And this happened when we came up with this induction assessment protocol, because once people were shifted to the respective units, we could feel that the newbies were totally blank. So either they were not paying attention, or the faculty was not making it interesting for them to absorb the information. So that is how we had this induction assessment, so that both the parties, it was their responsibility that they had to understand the processes, and it was not the responsibility of HR to make them understand. So that is how we had this introduces induction assessment. Apart from it, we had a feedback of induction program. So this feedback, we had a feedback form, induction feedback form, wherein we used to get it filled up. The only objective behind it was that we wanted to grow day by day, and we wanted to know that what are the gaps or the areas of improvement, so that we can make our induction process more friendly and an experience for one to remember. And believe me, we were so very religiously following this feedback system that we used to get the insights from the newbies and used to implement it at flow. So that is how we were able to have a very good induction process. Role specific, I'd already discussed it with you, and Pariche. So Pariche used to have, it was a monthly affair, And in the month end, we used to gather all the newbies who had joined in a month. So we used to have around 50 to 70 joinings in a month. So all across segments, various departments. So everyone used to come, the doctors, the nurses, the paramedics, the administrative staff, and even the contractual manforce. So they used to come, and we used to sensitize them, familiarize them with the leaders of the organization, the leaders who were responsible to run the entire show of the hospital. So the leaders were there. We used to make them introduced to all the leaders so that the employees, the newbies, are at ease, and they know that if they are in a fix, whom they have to get in touch with. Supposedly, there was an HR recruitment specialist who's joined, but during while working, the system is not working. So he knew that who is the concerned IT head to whom he has to go and talk about his issues. So this is how this also went a long way, and it made the transition very smooth. You can see on the screen this board. During Pariche, we used to give this memento to all our newbies. This is a tree of harmony. This showed our organizational culture. If you could see that this is the namaste, which is the hands. So we are basically welcoming all the newbies to the organization. And then these roots of the trees, as well as the leaves and the tree in itself, had people who were the happy people. So these were just the happy people who formed the base of this organization. So we had a happy culture which was so contagious that each day people felt like working, coming to the organization and working for the organization. And they used to say, what next? So we had a lot of milestones what the team had collaboratively achieved, and every time they used to say, this we have attained, now what next, sir? So this is how it was. And you could see that in this SPS, the tagline was Rishta Zindagi Se. So it was not that our induction process was limited to the employees, but also to their families. So it was Rishta Zindagi Se. And then it was said that once they joined, so it was a magic relationship. People, the relationship with the people is magical. So this is how we used to project. And this was a thought behind our induction process. So the outcome of this effective, inspiring practices were that employees felt welcomed and comfortable, and in turn, they reciprocated with loyalty towards the organization. We had extremely low attrition rate in first 3 months of the joining, owing to effective practices, contrary to the benchmarks, the industrial benchmarks. I still remember the kind of culture we had put in. We had a competitor just next to our area, and that competitor was actually a fierce competitor. So their HR head told to one of our consultants that we are going to have the employees. We are going to attract the employees of SPS because they're well trained. Their training and development is so robust that they're going to be the ready-made material for a new hospital, upcoming hospital. The consultant went to the managing director and he said that sir, हमारे बंदों को जिनको हमने ट्रेन करके रखा है प्लीज संभाल लो, नहीं तो वो जो हमारा कंपेटिटर आ रहा है वो हमारे ही he's eyeing our people and they are going to attract them. And then the managing director called me up in his chamber and he asked me that Chandni, what we have to do. Believe me, they had flat that any candidate, any nurse, administrative professional, any doctor who comes at a junior level, flat 6,000 का increment होगा अगर वो दिखाते हैं कि वो SPS hospital से हैं. But believe me, we had 100% retention rate, a zero attrition to that organization, which was far and way above, which was a brand in itself. So the people never wanted to leave the organization because they enjoyed working with this organization. और सबसे बड़ी बात थी कि वो organization को अपना मानते थे, वो उसको अपना second home मानते थे और वो कहते थे ये organization आपकी नहीं है, ये हमारी organization है. And this induction program, I'm just coming back, this induction program was not only limited to the employees of the organization, but also it was extended to the contractual employees as well as to the vendors of the organization. So anyone who used to join, even on contract, used to have an induction program, and the HR executive ensured, who was a buddy, ensured this induction program to be, that everyone goes through this induction protocol. This PPT, this video I'm sharing it with you, you must have seen that in most of the organizations, एक notes lag jate hain, notice boards pe that these people have joined. We had in our software video photographs that these people have joined us. But apart from it, for people, we used to have this video, which I'm sharing it with you. So again, the CEO came into the picture and he asked me that rewarding. Now, rewarding was the another category which we had to showcase that how do we recognize our employees for their good work and the extra effort or the other achievements those professionals are coming up with. So they said that Kelly, which is sourcing, staffing sourcing solutions company, they had come up with a fictitious character, Meet Jack. So this Jack had as a concept runs for 3 months in a year, and it's an anonymous person who is responsible for sending appreciation mails, greeting cards, ice cream treats, dinner vouchers, movie vouchers, spas vouchers, additional paid leaves to the employees who have achieved their targets or overperformed. So, what are you doing in this field as a rewarding? What are your rewarding strategies across organization? So, at SPS, again, a very tricky organization, but we had the vision of the organization, which showed, which reflected that we wanted to build up a rewarding culture in the organization. So our each and every reward, what we had come up for our employees was so strategically planned that it reinforced the sense of accomplishment and made employees feel motivated. So we had a very transparent parameters for reward and recognition, and the employees it was being shared with the employees that these are the parameters. You compete for these parameters. You do all these things. You compete it, and then probably if you are eligible for it, you will be awarded. So it was never that we used to hide anything. It was a very transparent culture, and all the rewards which was strategically designed, it was shared with the people that these are the parameters, you competed and you get this award. So this is how things were. So they knew what are the benchmarks for them, and SPS में benchmark कभी भी अगर मेरे लिए मेरा कंपेटिटर या मेरा आईटी हेड या मार्केटिंग हेड नहीं होता था, मेरे लिए हमेशा मेरा बेंचमार्क मैं खुद होती थी. So this is how we made it a point that for everyone the benchmark is they themselves, not the others. So they have to every day have to be better in whatever they deliver to the customer, to the patient, to whatever the role is assigned to them. So we had built up a rewarding culture by introducing monthly, annual, and on-the-spot recognition awards across organization. We had 25 awards covering all the categories of professionals. 25 is a huge number. जब वो monthly, annual देना पड़ता है, it's a huge number. But then yes, we had 25 awards for across organizations, and it was not only again this was not only limited to the employees who were on the rolls of the organization, but also to the contractual employees. Every month, we used to have a perfect attendance award for the contractual manforce, people who were on contract. Believe me, if you get to the industry and you see many factories or hospitals, you will never see the contractual employees getting awards and the organization ensuring that they also get award for whatever the reasons are. But they also form a very important part of the team. So they also have to be motivated to perform their tasks effectively day in day out. So we had a best driver award, we had a safety awards, we had the best nurse award, best doctor award, well dressed award, so the honesty award. So there were a lot of awards, different awards, which were being initiated by the team HR. And it was on monthly and annual basis that we used to award people who were the star performers. While we were getting our satisfaction survey done, we used to have an annual satisfaction survey done. So we had seen a major chunk of the employees who were not even satisfied with these monthly and annual awards. They said that we want to have more. So can we start with something which is on the spot recognition award? So we want to be recognized if we perform anything or we do an extra, we go an extra mile there and then. So we don't want to wait for 30 days or probably 365 days to be accoladed. We want an instant award. So then the HR team had designed a protocol wherein on the spot award was being designed, wherein any customer feedback form which used to come, and you in the customer feedback form, if any customer or the patient's attendants have mentioned the name of any nurse or any employee who has actually gone that extra mile to deliver the best of his or her abilities, we used to at that point in time, the time we used to receive the customer feedback form, the quality team used to vet the entire form, and then they had their own parameters, and they used to announce that person, and within 48 hours that person used to be who had actually delivered the best of his abilities and gone and had walked the extra mile, used to be awarded in that work area. The leaders used to go, they used to give a star badge, as well as we used to have a star tag which used to be displayed in the workstation that person was sitting and performing his role. And then in front of everyone, we used to cheer up that candidate, that employee, and had that this policy was named as kudos. So used to give kudos to that employee and cheer up that employee for delivering his best of the abilities and working for the organization with dedication. So this was contagious. Believe me, this was not only limited to the happy employee, but this happy employee further, it was contagious, made happy employees, and those happy employees actually contributed to the happy customers by giving the best of the delivery abilities. So this is how these rewards, these initiatives, which you would be, I'm sure, in future would be taking, would be contributing to the organization by having these kind of things. This really helps in the end product, which is a happy customer. So if your employee is happy, definitely that person would go that extra mile to make the customer also happy. And this is a thing what you have to ensure, what the HR professionals have to ensure, that they are going to have their strategies, their policies, their practices in such a manner which basically makes the employee happy while working in the organization. Balancing. You can understand that you must be seeing that these words are so similar: welcoming, inspiring, balancing. But this is how the great places to work at, they wanted that your culture is basically through these words, and the practices what are there at your in your company. So in balancing, again, the CEO asked me that in what distinctive ways does your company help employees balance their work lives, which is, I'm sure, very, very important these days with their personal and family lives. So because he meant to say with this is a lack of balance between personal and professional life can cause a burnout, which in most of the organizations we see. While I was working for Activity Center Life, I've seen people actually getting to that mark of burnout, emotional exhaustion, which in healthcare industry you would come to see that people was not only emotionally exhausted but also physically to bhuli jao. It was basically emotional as well as psychological exhaustion, which in the healthcare industry most of the healthcare workers have. And during these phase of pandemic, if you interact with any nurse or doctor, they're basically emotionally and psychologically exhausted at this point in time. And this leads to a reduced sense of accomplishment and can even eventually be associated with impaired job performance and poor health of the employee. So we, being in HR, had a very important responsibility and we had to basically balance the work-life balance in such a manner so that the employee is happy working with us, the family is happy working with us, and it's like that everyone is like having a very smooth and a cordial relationship with one another. So we had designed, used to have a Founders Day celebration, which was in the month of March. And it was a month long activity. That celebration was not restricted to one day, which was 28th March was our Founders Day. So it was never 28th March. It was a month long celebration and everyone used to participate in it. So we had named that celebration as Chuck Day. So Chakde was a name again, Junoon, full of passion, full of Junoon, and all our employees were full of life, and this was reflected in that month-long celebration. So we used to have sport activities, we used to have cultural events, and it was not only limited to the employees but also to the family members. So we used to have dance, nach baliye, we had cricket matches. So we had wrestling. We had a lot of activities which we used to have. We had mehndi competition. We had dance competition. We used to have uh, chess competition. So there were a lot of competitions, and we used to basically ensure that people come up. Apart from their healing touch, we could also see the creativity of the employees who are working with us. So this ensured, and I believe me that 28th March ऐसे ऐसे episodes होते थे. Family members used to wait for 28th March celebration, the mega celebration, and they used to say कि कब आएगा 28th March में हम क्या कर रहे हैं. And we also had I had witnessed हमारे यहाँ 4-5 resident medical officers होते थे. So the attrition amongst the resident medical officers or the junior doctors is huge, and it is in the healthcare industry. Their maximum span is 6 months. So we had these resident medical officers who used to leave us in the month of July or August and used to rejoin in February, March, May. They used to experience this again annual sport and cultural events and the annual day function. And again in March or April or May, they used to leave. So they used to join us during this period, enjoy the celebrations, work also, and then leave the organization. That is how this Founders Day was so popular in SPS hospitals, Apollo hospitals. Then we had a monthly engagement activity. So we had an engagement calendar, an annual engagement calendar, wherein every month we used to celebrate any festival or any day like Women's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. So we used to celebrate every month. We used to celebrate the days or the month, and this annual engagement calendar was again we used to ensure that in healthcare it's very easy for people to burn out again, and the emotional and psychological exhaustion is also there. So that they are fresh, they are working with us because every day in day out they are fighting with life and death of the patient and the attendants. So they used to rejuvenate during these engagement activities in a month and then go back effectively to their areas, work areas, and enjoy themselves and then work efficiently. This was objective behind it. Once I was just talking to the head Apollo hospitals in Delhi, Mr. Kapoor. So he had mentioned that they have a lot of suicidal cases of their employees, their team members, specifically the nursing professionals. एक जलंधर की नर्स थी जो एक दिन who had committed suicide in their hostel, so they had to bring her dead body back to Jalandhar. So they said that हमारे यहाँ पर suicidal rates बहुत हैं. How about you? Then I realized that in our hospital there was zero suicide rate because we had these engagement programs, we had these annual day celebrations. People used to work also, and they used to enjoy while working. So this is how these thoughts used to come, that whatever we're doing it unknowingly is going a long way and making the employees very happy to work at. Then we had flexible working hours. It was never that अगर किसी का 8 to 2 का shift है या 12 to 12 का shift है, 8 to 8 का shift है या 9 to 5 का shift है, और कभी because of the family responsibility उसको late आना है या किसी और shift करना है. So the leaders were very flexible in giving them this flexi work hours, or jaldi jana hai. The leave policies were designed in such a manner so that the employees had that cushion of getting into this flexi working hours. Then we also had Family Day, wherein we used to celebrate Mother's Day, Father's Day, Children's Day, Grandparents Day. Grandparents Day भी हमारे यहाँ celebrate होता था. So we used to bring the grandparents in the organization. So we used to have some antakshari with the grandparents or these kind of things. Even Mother's Day, people used to, the employees used to, their kids used to paint a picture of their parents or something like it. So this is how we used to have these activities and made our employees feel valued, not only in the organization but also amongst their family members as well. Um, then during summer vacation of the kids, we used to have summer camps for staff and their families, including children. So after 5 p.m., we used to have sessions like Zumba classes, yoga classes, cookery classes, cake baking, salads making. We used to have kind of a lot of painting classes. So ये summer camp होता था, which used to last for a month, and people, not only the employees but their families were also they could also engage in these summer camps. So that was another thing which we were doing. Family holidays for associates with good attendance records. So employees in the entire year who had a very good attendance record, who has not availed any leave, who had been coming on time, so we had a parameters fixed for it, and who was eligible for this good attendance award, perfect attendance award, we used to give a holiday package for that employee and his family members so that they can enjoy, because they have actually contributed the services for the entire year, and at least those 5 days they enjoy with the family members. So this is how we used to reciprocate. Then movie evenings with the families, we used to distribute the movie tickets to the employees and the family members. Zumba and fitness classes, we had a room identified where every day there was Zumba and fitness classes which used to go on. Then, and even we had a gym in the in-house gym in the hospital. Then we also the birthday celebrations and the birthday short leave. So birthdays were being celebrated with great pomp and show. Birthdays for all the employees. Like we had 1,500 employees, out of which 900 were on the roll of the organization. For those people, every day we used to have a cookie. Our engagement officer used to go to their work area along with the leaders, and then we used to cut that cookie, and then we used to decorate the workstation of the employee and used to give them cards and then cheer them up. And for the leaders, like the administrative leaders who were the heads of the department, we used to give them the meal coupon for them and their family members so that they can enjoy their birthdays with their loved ones. And for the medical professionals, the doctors, we used to send a cake to their house, as well as used to give them movie tickets for them and their family members. And that was a platinum lounge in MBT um, multiplex. So they used to enjoy the movie with their loved ones. So this is how we ensured. And there was a birthday short leave, so that employee, today supposedly is my birthday, so I could leave early the organization 1 hour early than my usual timings, and then enjoy my day with my loved ones too. So the other thing was that we had dinner with the families. We used to give them the dinner coupons of various restaurants as well as the hotels. And this privilege card was a very unique concept which we had in our organization. So in this privilege card, how we used to work, we had a discount card. This privilege card we had tied up with 25 to 30 companies like restaurants, spas, gyms. So we had tied up with them, and these privilege card was being given to all the employees of the organization. And how we worked was that these were the discounts. So any employee who was the employee of SPS Apollo Hospital, they and their family members used to be given a privilege card. And whenever they used to go to that restaurant which was there on the privilege card, they were eligible for a discount of 25 to 30% or 15 to between it varied between 15 to 20% or 25%, wherein they were given discount every time they used to visit those places which were there on the privilege card. So this was only exclusively and specifically for the employees and their family members of the SPSNs. Apart from maternity leave is everywhere. Paternity leave is also now very common, but we also had paternity leave whenever any employee whose wife had delivered a baby. So we wanted that he or she should celebrate that moment, and we used to give a week's leave to that employee so that he owes the responsibility of the family be a part of that celebration, and enjoys the parenthood. So I would share with you one video which would just is a reflection of how with one of my clients, which is by the name of Wedding Asia, we had basically celebrated New Year Eve. And in that New Year Eve, how we went in is that we had got the written commitment as well as the resolution of each and every employee. And we basically, हमारा HR का ही रोल होता है सबको जोड़ के रखना. तो हम सभी को इकट्ठा करते थे एंड सभी से कमिटमेंट लिखवाते थे दैट इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की ये कमिटमेंट है, ये विजन है, इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का प्रोमोटर्स का ये विजन है, इस साल हमने ये करना है. सो एवरीवन यूज्ड टू गिव अ रिटन कमिटमेंट, साइन ऑन इट, एंड देन लिव, breathe, eat, drink with that vision of the organization and contribute to the fullest. So here goes this video. Believe me, being in HR, it is very important for all of you that never ever play favorites, play your favorites, and never ever allow anyone else to play their favorites. For us being HR professionals, each and every employee who is working, say from the director to the chaprasi of the organization, the security guard, is a very integral part of the team. हर एक बंदा अपने रोल को बाखूबी निभाए तभी आप ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को आगे लेके जा सकते हो, नहीं तो it gets very difficult. So we being in HR have to play a very fair game, and we have to be very transparent in whatever our policies we are sharing with the employees. So it is very important that we got to be custodian of that, and we need to ensure day in day out that an element of fairness is there majorly, which is very important which is not that very easy because you don't have control over so many factors and situations and things. But at least you can maintain a kind of a decorum wherein you ensure that yes, fairness is an element of fairness is always there in the protocols, in the policies of HR. And supposedly I had faced a lot many times. अगर हम किसी को अवार्ड देते थे तो देयर वर सो मेनी पीपल हु यूज्ड टू कम टू आस्क कि हमें क्यों नहीं मिला, हमने तो ये किया था. व्हेन यू हैव योर पैरामीटर्स nicely penned down and then people are aware of it, you can at least check it out कि कहीं पर कोई गलती नहीं हुई, and then that is how you build up the trust of yours, of the department of HR amongst the entire janta of the organization. So that's very important. Please, being the custodian of the policies, protocols, and you have to build up a very fair culture of the organization. You need to understand that please don't play your favorites because it's a very sensitive position you are into, and be the people's person. So it should not be one man show, it should be the people's person. Take them along for any initiative you are implementing at works. And it is not my organization. You have to have a kind of a feeling amongst everyone that they feel that it is our organization. And it is not I that goes on, it is always we that goes on in your conversations, in your dealings, in your day to day activities. So, coming over to celebrating, again, the CEO of Great Place to Work at asked me that how do you encourage fun and camaraderie amongst the employees by celebrating team and organization successes. He was very clear. He had asked me कि family के साथ कैसे करते हैं. Now this was exclusively by celebrating team and organizational success. So we had a lot of organizational success. We had a lot of success, organizational success. What we had gone in for, we've achieved a lot of milestones like Vicky Award. That was for HR had backed this Vicky Award for training and development practices, and it was a nationwide award. So we were the in 2015 we had backed this award, and we were the best for our initiative tracheostomy nurse care plan. We were the best in the country to have bagged this Vicky award. So apart from it, there were a lot of awards, nationwide awards, what we had bagged, and we were a JCI accredited organization. So JCI is basically a US accrediting body which used to certify the hospitals, and they had the benchmarks for the processes which were being implemented at works. So whenever we used to bag these awards, it was never that the managing director gets that award. The managing director never used to go to receive those awards. It was always the team and people who had worked for that initiative to make it a success used to go and collect that award on behalf of the organization. That started from there. So just see the uniqueness. Always you'll see the managing director and the CEOs who go and represent the organization and bag the award. But in with us, it was always that uh, that officer or that leader whose project was this, and that success that project was when it was successful. That leader used to go represent the organization and receive and collect the award in front of everyone, all the competitors, and it was a nationwide award. So that's how it was. So this is how we used to celebrate the celebratory initiatives at SPS Hospital were like we are the champions. What I'm talking about is that is the initiative what we had. So whenever we used to bag this JCI award certificate or probably the Picky award, the organization's achievements were celebrated with the team, and we used to thank them for their contributions towards the organization. And then there were exclusive parties which were organized, and all the SPNs used to enjoy and celebrate the success together. So it was because supposedly that tracheostomy nurse care plan was I was driving that project. So I had gone along with the doctor who was a part of the team, the quality manager who was again the part of the team, the nursing superintendent. So they were like kabhi bhi project akele nahi hota. There's a cross-functional team which gets involved. So everyone who were a part of the cross-functional team and who had worked hard used to go receive the award, and then it was a party time for the organization and the team members. Then coming to the Punjabis way, any team like supposedly if marketing team had attained any milestone and had bagged any award, so we used to give them a budget wherein the marketing team or the team leaders used to party hard with their team members. So that was the Punjabis way which we used to go ahead with. So this was the initiative. Third was the Wonder Kids. So now this is we also stretched the accomplishments, not which was not only limited to the employees but to the family members of the employees. So the Wonder Kids was a kind of a project what we had come up with is like the academic achievements of the associates children were honored. So any children, any employer's child who had scored 80% and above in their matriculate or 12th standard on their board examinations, or probably who had really fared well in the graduation or post graduation. So we used to every year we used to accolade them in front of the employees of in front of the SPSNs. So this is how we used to bring the teachers, the children, and their family members, their mothers, and then they were accoladed in front of the SPSNs. So this was a very unique, again, a very unique initiative what we had, and these meritorious performance in board examinations. So people who were the kids who were selected in IITs or also postgraduate selection in Stanford and employment in Boston Consulting Group and Google were some of the notable achievements of our SPS Wonder Kids. So this is how we used to keep a track of the family members of the hospital. So it was never that the employees are part of the SPS, but it was that it is the employee's family which is a part of this bigger family, which is SPS family. So that is how this SPS family was actually a family. Supporting. So He asked me that how does your company support employees at times of significant life events, kind of any death in the family, family illness, birth, marriage, etc. Now again, he cited an example for this. He said that in HDFC Standard Life, they support employee movements across cities. Whenever there's a kind of a relocation policy, they have a relocation policy. Anyone, because I've also worked with HDFC Standard Life, so I also know about it. So anyone, any employee who's being relocated, say from Ludhiana region to Delhi region, so that covers the relocation policy, covers the travel cost of the employee and his family, transportation expenses, salary revision and settling allowance, and the transfer of goods from one location to another. There's also a 4 days leave is also provided to employee to settle them at the new location. Most importantly, their well-being and happiness quotient is followed up on once the person relocates to the new place. So now, what are you doing differently, and how is SPS supporting the employees and their family during the adversities? So again, this was a very tricky question, but yes, we had 1,500 employees working for us, and our role was never limited to our on-roll employees, but it was also extended to the contractual manforce because they were also our responsibility. So we had, I would now just share some stories of few professionals whom how SPS had supported their family members during adversities and had stood by them when not even their families were a part of their support system. So we had a OT technician who was coming to the hospital and met with an accident and expired. So his wife was in one of the villages, wo kisi gaon mein thi. So she had to come all the way to the city, and then she shifted to the city at that point in time. So she was like a villager kind of. She was basically a villager, not even a matriculate. She had no academic achievements, nothing. So she was just 10th pass. So, but his kids were with him, and they were studying in one of the schools. So he had one daughter and a son. So and now that technician, he was hospitalized. जब उसकी जब death हुई उससे पहले उसको treatment मिला. So उसका he was hospitalized, और उसके जो hospital expenses थे, which were somewhere around 10 lakhs. उस time पे नया नया डेंगू शुरू हुआ था. Dengue, what we know. So he was very critical, and उसे dengue हो गया, and then he expired. That is the way it was. So उसको 9-10 लाख का bill बना, which was being waived off by the organization, and his wife was not supposed to pay even a single penny, and she could not even pay for that matter. But then whatever, she was not supposed to pay a single penny. And then uski wife ko the hospital had given an opportunity to work. So though she was not even 10th pass, so we had deployed her with the contractual manforce, and she was working in the housekeeping department. And till date, she's working with SPS in housekeeping department, or so that she could actually earn livelihood for her kids. And उसकी जो डॉटर थी और उसका जो बेटा था, दोनों को वी हैड हेल्प देम इन गेटिंग एडमिशन इन BCM स्कूल व्हिच वाज ऑन चंडीगढ़ रोड. सो उसकी जो फीस थी दैट वाज बीइंग पेड बाय द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. सो this seems to be a small gesture, but it goes a long way. We only reflected that if the employee was a integral part of the team, जब वो नहीं रहा, वो तब भी we could feel his essence, and he was still an integral part of the team. So he was a responsibility of SPS, and the SPS was always by the side of the employee and the family members. There was another case. We had a male staff nurse who met with an accident and was hospitalized and was into a vegetative state. So a very good male staff nurse. He was admitted to the hospital for more than 7 to 8 months, and uska 24 lakhs ka hospital bill aaya tha, and that was also being waived off. Waived off. Believe me, 24 lakhs, 9 lakhs is a figure to you at this point in time, but actually, when it happens, it is not a figure; it's a revenue figure for the organization, and it's a huge amount to be waived off. So I have mentioned 31 days of hard work. So anyone who has a large heart and who believes that this is my employee and is my responsibility, only this concept of 31 days of hard work, it falls into the picture. It's not that easy. Apart from it, we also used to celebrate the baby boomers with the family members. जब भी किसी के घर में बच्चा होता था, so the team and the managing director and his wife, along with the team of leaders, used to go to the hospital जहाँ पर भी होता था या उनके घर पे जाके, and we used to celebrate those moments with them. We used to give them gifts. So this is how was our supporting strategy in the hospital. In contributing, please briefly describe the environmental or corporate responsibility initiatives focusing on how employees participated. So it was not that we owed our responsibility towards our employees, but we owed our responsibility towards the society also. So that is how it makes you or earns the title of a great place to work at. So, and in that corporate social responsibility, it was never the organization's responsibility to participate for CSR initiatives, but each and every employee participated in it. They contributed their salaries in it, and they were very actively involved in the initiatives, whatever we took for the CSR on a whole. So when he was talking about, he talked about the school on wheels. So this was for Chandelier India. In collaboration, they had a mobile library bus, and they used to basically pick up all the kids and drop them to the school, and wherein the kids were being educated. So he asked me that what are the CSR activities you've been doing. So I would just take you through the CSR activities which were being done by the SPS Hospital. And you would see that it was never that you would never see managing director a part of it. You will always see the employees being a part of it, and they were basically into the CSR initiatives which the hospital has taken, which the hospital was basically driving. And this is a very old video because I think we had made this video way back in 2015, 16 or 17. So that is no, it was like 13, 14. So it's an old video. Please bear with me on this. So we could see that there's so many CSR initiatives which we had taken, and just in that coolie and that rail coach driver photograph, you could see the MD. Rest everyone, all the employees were a part of the CSR initiatives, and they contributed wholeheartedly, and they wanted to reach out to the entire janta of this nation. And through these initiatives, they actually contributed a bit of their salaries and a bit of them. Uh, so I think probably we are just coming towards the end of the presentation. Thanking is being in gratitude is one of the most important feature of our day-to-day lives. So he wanted to know that how does your company show appreciation for employees' contribution? You must have seen कि कैसे reward कर रहे थे. Was the reward fair and transparent? Now it was like how did we ensure appreciation for employees' contributions? So I've been as a freelancer. I had been working. I've tied up with two organizations, which are different organizations. One is the event planning company. The other one is a hospital. So I am setting up their human resources function. So it is not only limited to recruitment, but it starts from manpower planning till the exit administration of the organization. So the entire HR gamut of activities, I've been basically responsible for it, and I am setting up the HR department on a whole as such. So manpower planning से लेके exit तक जितना भी HR का काम है, that is what is being. I'm coming up with the policies. I'm implementing it with the help of the HR guys who are being stationed in the organization. So how we came up for a thanking thing in SPS also. Apart from it, I'll just share Excelsior Public Relations, which is a event management company, and most of you must be knowing Wedding Asia, जो exhibitions रखती हैं. So they are the ones who are into it. So they sincerely acknowledges and appreciates the hard work of the employees by making them feel valued and appreciated. They ensure that the leaders effectively communicate to the teams that their work is valuable for the organization. So they have personalized thank you notes from the managing director's desk and thank you gesture. So how they go about is supposedly someone has done a very good job. मतलब छोटे से ही काम किया है, but it is like a good job done by that employee. So it's an instant thank you what the managing director comes up with. So they have a personalized note अपने हाथ से लिखे एक नोट लिख के वो उस एम्प्लॉय को उसके डेस्क तक देने जाते हैं, उसको थैंक करते हैं फॉर his valuable contributions towards the organization, and that's very instant. Suppose ये कोई काम हुआ and the MD has liked it, so वहीं पर एक note लिख के उसको देने जाते हैं and then thank him or her for the contributions made to the organization. Thank you gesture was basically kind of they have a wall. This they have thank you cards. I'll show you in the next slide. They have thank you cards made which are lying in those wall. Anyone, say it is vendor, employee, contractual staff, किसी को thank you करना है for anything like supposedly my team member. There are two team members of HR. एक ने उसका थोड़ा सा कुछ काम कर दिया है या उसको हेल्प कर दिया है, उसको काम नहीं आ रहा था, दैट पर्सन स्टक और उसको हेल्प कर दिया है, तो वो थैंक यू कार्ड उठाएगी और उस पर स्क्रिबल करके उस एम्प्लॉय को दे देगी और वो एम्प्लॉय अपने नोटिस बोर्ड पे या अपने वर्क एरिया पे उसको लगाएगा. So this we wanted that it should not be only the MD thanking the employees, but we should make this thanking a part of us, a part of our day-to-day routine, a part of this culture that people should live in gratitude. They should realize that the simple and a small word thank you goes a long way. ये thank you या sorry ऐसे words हैं जो लोगों को जोड़ता है, तोड़ता नहीं है. And we as HR professionals हमें भी organization को बांध के और जोड़ के रखना है, divide and rule का काम नहीं करना. So that is very important. So wherein as in ICA hospital, there are various celebration of days. How do they thank the employees? Even in SPS also we used to do it the same manner. So in ICA hospital, they celebrate the Nurses Day, which is on 12th May, Doctors Day, which is on 1st of July. So they thank the nurses and the doctors for their contributions towards the society, towards the organization, and the patients and their families. What they believe is that one family member saved is not the one person saved, it's the one family that is saved. सो एक फैमिली का कोई भी एक बंदा अगर सेव कर देते हैं, वो ठीक ठाक चला जाता है, घर पहुंच जाता है, तो वो पूरी फैमिली सेव होती है और वो पूरी फैमिली खुश होके जाती है. दैट्स द वे दे बिलीव इन इट. देन दे ऑल्सो celebrate Mentors Day, Teachers Day on 5th of September. Then Communique Day, which is basically for EPBX people, जो exchange में होते हैं, उनका एक day होता है, so they celebrate that day also, and the Bosses Day. So these are the various days which they celebrate. अब I think HR Day भी celebrate होना शुरू हो गया है. So we should know when it's HR Day, and then that is also one you should now make it a point that you should celebrate it, and you should pep up your HR team as well, because they work very hard to build up this culture of the organization. Apart from it, Women's Day is also celebrated with pomp and show, so which is on 8th of March. So that is also being celebrated in pomp and show, with pomp and show. So you can see these thank you cards which were being designed and which are being used in Wedding Asia. Apart from it, in SPS, you can see that this is how they used to write and give it to the employees. This one was being given to me by one of my team members. So that's how we made it a culture that anyone who feels like, just pick up a card, say thank you, don't even wait for it, say thank you, and get to the work. That is how it is. At Chroma, everyone must be aware of Chroma. Chroma is a very big store, retail store, which is there in the malls. So they have a kind of a policy which is by the name of Say Cheers, and the leaders have developed a cheer program, Cheers program. So through this initiative, you made my life easier card to express gratitude to colleagues who went the extra mile and helped in accomplishing a task or supported them in times of need. Over the time, this helps in building a healthy work environment where employees support each other to achieve individual and organizational objectives. So it's one and the same thing, what we go ahead with. So we are basically, we have ended up with a presentation of 75 minutes of inspiring HR practices. And believe me, this is not difficult. मतलब ये ऐसे चीजें नहीं हैं कि which is beyond anyone. It is not even beyond you. I know that I know that you guys are very promising, very intelligent, very smart, wise would be as a professionals. For you, just one thing which would make you is नीचे जो है 31 days of hard work or 365 days of hard work. Anything that comes out of the heart definitely reaches the heart. This is what I believe. HR drives me day in, day out. It's my passion. And these things come automatically to me whenever I'm given any project. So the same goes for you guys also. So there's no buzzword. So there's nothing which is very difficult. It's just that get involved, love your job, and get going and just break the wall. So thank you everyone for being a patient listener, and I wish all of you very best. And I know that all of you would definitely come up with flying colors in your career and in future. So once again, wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an insightful session. And I'm sure that with all these benevolent acts that you are engaged in, I'm certain that your employees and your colleagues value you a lot. We have a lot of questions from the students. So I'll just start with the first one. The first question is that how have your organizations changed their HR practices in view of COVID pandemic?
Okay, so that's a very good question. Thank you for sharing it. It's just that now I had given up my salary job and got into the freelancing because HR is what drives me day in, day out. So I didn't know, I started my freelancing in 2019. So I didn't know what was in store for me in future. This pandemic is still a very challenging time for all the HR professionals. I was working for Excelsior Public Relations, and that's an event management company. So having a background of a healthcare institute, I think in the month of February, I heard about that China में जब ये pandemic का हुआ था, so I could foresee that this year is going to be very tough for at least one of my clients who's into event management, because exhibitions तो पूरे साल नहीं चलेगी because this coronavirus is an airborne disease. So, but the promoters, they called me up in the month of March, and he asked me that, Chani, how do you sense that what is going to be our future? So I knew within that this year, starting from March, where the first lockdown was being announced by the Prime Minister of the country, they are not going to have exhibitions. They are not going to be profitable because वो जो मैंने आपको अभी presentation दिखाई थी, that was of Wedding Asia only. So they had started the year with great pomp and show, but March में ही उनका खत्म हो गया सारा. So it was very difficult for him to accept how to go about. His query was, now this was one of the clients. His query was that we have like 50 employees working for us. How do we sustain our organization in the times when we are not going to have not even a single penny of revenue? So there were various stages. That first was wait and watch, because even this pandemic was as new to me as to the rest of the world. And but when you are employed in the organization, it is the organization's responsibility. They nurture you. But when you're working as a consultant, they feel that you are a one-stop shop solution. You have all the solutions to all the problems, whether it is new for you or for the entire organization or the country or the nation. So he told me that how do you intend to take us through this and sail us through this pandemic? So we had divided into phases. Our policies were like we had engagement plans. So first March, April, we had engagement plans on WhatsApp because the budgets were like screwed. हमारे जो budgets थे engagement के वो हमने वहीं पर curtail कर दिए थे because I could foresee that this is not going to work very well because it's an airborne disease और वो जल्दी तक आ नहीं सकेगी और vaccination भी 18 months के बाद आएगी, vaccination भी नहीं आने वाली. So, but then with him that acceptance was difficult. So the policies like जहाँ पर पैसा incur हो रहा था, that had been stopped. Till date, it's been stopped. The first phase was that we had curtailed our expenditures, and हमने May तक की पूरी salaries employees को दी थी. May onwards, the critical roles were being given were given the salaries. But the non-critical, like we have identified the critical roles as well as the non-critical roles. The critical roles were being given full salary, but the non-critical roles, the salaries were cut by 75% for May and June. Then we entered into the last phase, which was July, August, September, the third phase of the pandemic. And because up to unki exhibition shuru ho gayi hai, so at least they have this revenue coming in. So in that, even the leaves, because people were working from home, so the work from home policies were being organized, were being designed for these people, that how they are going to be productive. And it was, they had one office in Ludhiana and the other one in Delhi. So work from home policy was being devised, which was a new policy for them. Though one or two people were working, professionals who were working from work from home, but then it was redesigned. Even the leave policy was redesigned. So and there were a lot of safety protocols which were being designed because when they started the operations in August in Ludhiana, not in Delhi, it's not till date open. So in Ludhiana, when they started, so the hand hygiene, how they have to communicate with one another, how the safety protocols have to be followed, the posters and everything. So they were being designed, and people were being trained with hand hygiene and all this stuff. So this is how we came up with different policies. Some policies were like they were taken backseat. The few policies were like redesigned during the pandemic. Now this was an event management company. Simultaneously, I had an exposure with a healthcare company because this was my second client. So they came up to me and they asked me that, Chandni, pandemic है, हमारे पास patients है, हमारे पास revenue है, अब बताओ क्या करना है. But हमारे पास बंदे नहीं है. So हमारे पास जो healthcare professionals हैं, because सारी तरफ कर्फ्यू हो चुका है, they cannot come to the hospital. How do we go about? और जो हैं वो काम नहीं करना चाहते. They say that we are scared कि हमें कोरोना ना हो जाए. So that was a different situation altogether with two different clients, and the policies had to be different. So for them, it was like we had given we had those taken special permissions for healthcare workers. May में तो वो भी नहीं मिल रही थी, so we had taken special permissions for healthcare workers and people who were stretching extra duty hours because there were so many professionals who could not come. So जो आ रहे थे उस टाइम पे ये भी होता था कि एक there was this doctor who was putting up as a tenant with on rent with समवेयर सो उसके लैंडलॉर्ड्स ने कह दिया कि अगर आपने हॉस्पिटल जाना तो हमारा घर वेकेट कर दो क्योंकि आपकी वजह से हमें कोरोना हो सकता है. सो these were basically the challenges what we were facing. So we had special incentives for people who were coming and were treating the patients and working for us, apart from the safety protocols which were being redesigned, and we were adhering to those safety protocols. So these were few things, but it's a long list. मुझे फिर से 75 minutes of pandemic बनानी पड़ेगी, but then yes, there's a long list, and it's basically still I'm learning, but believe me, this is an action-packed 2020 for a consultant like me, a new consultant like me.
So, ma'am, you definitely believe in right sizing rather than downsizing.
Yeah, sure. Downsizing has never been a part of it. It's always right. And that's how I think from day one I've been very sensitive, because if you're terminating an employee, if you're asking any employee to leave, I don't believe in it. It's like that somewhere the HR has not done its duty well. So whenever I start with my clients, I start with the revenue figure, with the manpower planning, staffing plan, and then with the manpower cost figure. So once I know what is the revenue, what is the manpower cost, and how they have done their manpower planning, which most of the organizations in the region of Punjab, they don't even know what is manpower planning and how to go about it. So with these two clients, the first thing I picked up was the manpower planning. So हम अगर ज्यादा स्टाफ रख देंगे और हमारे ऑपरेशंस कम है, हमारी बेड ऑक्यूपेंसी कम है, हमारे रेवेन्यूज कम है, तो इट्स जस्ट दैट वन पॉइंट इन टाइम, बिकॉज अब तो वैसे भी ये चलेगा नहीं पोस्ट पैंडेमिक, that these fixed costs are eating up your revenue share. So it's being a HR strategist, it is your responsibility. You should know कि हमारा ये दायरा है, इतने ही एम्प्लॉयज इंपॉर्टेंट हैं, उनको स्ट्रेच करा के मल्टीटास्किंग करा के उनको कराओ, जब आपको जरूरत पड़ती है तभी मैन पावर लेके आओ, बिकॉज इट्स अ फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट एंड इट्स अ ह्यूज कॉस्ट व्हिच eats your revenue shares. So it's important that I don't believe in downsizing. I believe in right sizing. You rightly said this.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we have another question, and this is by Syed Amir, and he says that as an HR specialist, what would be your criteria for selecting a fresher with zero experience in your organization?
Okay, thank you for this question. It's just that I been like I'm very choosy with my selection criteria, whether it is my team, मेरी टीम. जब मुझे HR professionals करने होते हैं, I still remember I'd interviewed 80 professionals, 80 candidates, and I got one. So I'm very choosy about it. But then if you talk about the organization, and we had a lot of freshers. When I joined SPS Hospital, I was just 1 year old and I was heading the HR department. So believe me, all these things, I had grown with the organization and I had learned with the organization. So I just had a 1 year of experience. But yes, freshers, I would like to see the subject knowledge, first of all. And second is their aptitude and attitude. So अगर तो किसी में है कि हाँ मुझे सीखना है और मैं जरूर करूंगा और ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आप मुझे दे दो, मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होगी, बस उतना ही बहुत है. बंदा सीखेगा एंड दैट पर्सन विल गो अलोंग. सो सिखाने वाले मेंटर्स बैठे हैं, बट सीखने वाले लोग थोड़े कम हैं. दिस इज व्हाट आई फील.
Definitely, ma'am. Definitely. Ma'am, there is another question, and this is by Parul. So she's saying that you've discussed a lot of things that you do in your organization, but not all the organizations follow these, protocols. So, and employees face discrimination, and there are issues, and the HR doesn't solve all those issues. So, what should the employees do in that situation?
Okay, so Parul, thank you for it. But then do you want that employees क्या करें कि HR क्या करे? That's very important, because now HR is a linking thing about it. It's a link, it's a bridge. So जो policies हैं वो HR ने devise करनी है, promoter से approve करनी है, implement फिर HR ने करनी है, और उसको देखना है कि there should be no discrimination, which I rightly said, I mentioned about it, कि you should have a fair game. Don't have your favorites, because अगर HR ही अपने favorites play करेगा फिर तो team leaders वगैरह सारे जो different heads होंगे, they will also play and they would still be playing with it. But the thing is that HR has to implement in such a manner. You should have your checklist in place. You should have laid down protocols. Supposedly अगर कोई reward ही करना है, अगर हमने कोई रिवॉर्ड एस्टेब्लिश करना है, तो सबसे पहले पैरामीटर्स हो, और वो पैरामीटर्स जब आप इंप्लीमेंट कर रहे हो दैट दोस शुड बी ट्रांसपेरेंट। ये नहीं कि वो सिर्फ एचआर के बंदे को पता है, एवरीवन शुड नो दोस पैरामीटर्स कि हम ये अचीव करेंगे, हम इस पे काम करेंगे, इस पे मेरे को इतना मैं अचीव करूंगा तो मुझे ये अवार्ड मिलेगा ही मिलेगा। that makes your job easier, because उसमें फिर बाकी जो एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स होते हैं वो मिनिमल हो जाते हैं। So that is how it is. But yes, if you have this अगर तो दिल में आ गई, दिमाग में आ गई कि करना है, तो फिर एचआर करके ही रहना चाहिए। ठान लिए तो करना ही करना है, चाहे जो मर्जी आ जाए। चैलेंजेस तो आते रहेंगे, ऑब्स्टिकल्स आती रहेंगी, बट अगर वो एक बार यहाँ आ गया तो वो डेफिनेटली हो गया। दैट्स द वे। सो एचआर हैज टू प्ले। एम्प्लॉयर्स तो एम्प्लॉयर्स को आप जैसे मोल्ड करोगे, जैसे चलाओगे, वो तो वैसे चलेगी। दैट्स अ काइंड ऑफ मास। एम्प्लॉयर्स आर मासेस, वो जनता है, उनको एचआर जैसे करवाएगा वो वैसे ही मैन्यूवर होंगे और वैसे ही काम करेंगे। They will not maneuver you, HR will do it.
Yes, ma'am, that's true. Ma'am, another question is, and this is also from one of the students of MBA, and she says that how was your experience when you joined as a fresher, and anything that you would want to tell the students who want to join this profession after their MBA?
Okay, I would, because way back I joined the corporate world in 2002. So उस टाइम पे तो MBA करो और शादी हो जाती थी। So I did my MBA from Delhi, और मैं इसी से आई थी, बिकॉज दिल्ली मुझे राज नहीं आया था, मेरा वहाँ बिल्कुल दिल नहीं लगा था। तो आई वेटेड कि मेरा जिस दिन खत्म होगा मैं अपनी कार और अपना सूटकेस लेके वापस आ गई थी। तो आई टोल्ड कि मेरी शादी कर दो, मैं तो बस आ गई हूँ वापस। आई नेवर न्यू दैट आई हैव अ लॉन्ग वे टू गो एंड this career, because my father said that you will not have an experience in Ludhiana, in city like Ludhiana, because you don't have professional organizations. Until date, there is actually a huge gap in the professional organizations. A lot of the, like 90% of the organizations, they still have a personnel department. They don't even have HR department. They don't understand the concept. So इस region में हम हैं. So when I joined Hero Cycles cold rolling division, वो मुझे मेरे फादर की वजह से मिली थी, बिकॉज ही वॉज लाइक द वाइस प्रेसिडेंट फॉर हीरो साइकिल्स एंड ही इज एन IT ग्रेजुएट। तो मुझे उनकी सिफारिश से वहाँ जॉब मिल गई थी। आई एम बीइंग वेरी ब्लंट। सो एंड आई वाज अ स्पॉइल्ड ब्रैट। सो जब मेरी इंटरव्यू भी हुई थी, सो आई डिडंट इवन हैड अ गुड सब्जेक्ट नॉलेज। सो मुझे जुलाई के महीने में भी पसीने आ रहे थे जब मैं इंटरव्यू दे रही थी कि मेरे को कुछ आता ही नहीं। आई फेल्ट सो एम्बैरेस्ड बिकॉज माय फादर सेड यू गो वॉक इन एंड यू विल गेट अ जॉब। The first day I joined that organization, I learned about it कि you're a daughter of Mr. KGS Bindra. वो तुम्हें इतना हैरेस करेंगे, यहाँ की एम्प्लॉयज इतना हैरेस करेंगे कि तुम खुद ही भाग जाओगी। That one line was the game changer. I knew that I would only stay here not for a long time, but मैं वो जो 1 साल भी यहाँ लगाऊंगी, मैं वो 10 साल के बराबर लगाऊंगी। So 3 people have left and they deployed me. मैं 3 बंदों का काम कर रही थी। उसके अलावा भी मैं लेबर लॉस वगैरह, so I was one stop shop for HR. I was looking after all the gamut of activities which was being performed in HR. लेबर लॉ में संडे भी काम करती थी। I think I used to work 12 hours, 14 hours, because I was very focused approach that once I leave this organization, I would definitely would know all the various activities which are being performed in HR. So when I was 1.5 years old, I got an opportunity with SPS Hospital as the head HR, which I could not accept for such a big 350 bedded hospital and such a prestigious organization, being a head HR after just 1.5 years. So the only thing for any fresher is, please be wise in choosing your bosses. Be very focused in your approach. You should know. बहुत मेरे भी उसमें आए थे कि इसको निकाल दो, 4,000 की तनख्वाह मिलती थी, मेरी कार का भी खर्चा नहीं आता था। I was a spoiled brat, lot of ego, but one thing that drove me was that I have to learn in these 365 days all the gamut of activities which are being performed, and I did it. So वो दिन था और आज का दिन है, there's no looking back. So challenges आते रहेंगे, but your focused approach will make the entire, and your attitude. So don't focus on your basically challenges and obstacles. You should be like a river that keeps on flowing besides all the odds.
Certainly, ma'am. And I think there is another question, and you've already answered that question.
but I would still ask you if you want to add something to it. Which is the highest post in HR, and if I'm capable, what would be the minimum time to reach there?
Okay, the highest post is वैसे तो designations matter नहीं करनी चाहिए because when I had an experience of 5 years, so the MD of SPS Hospital told me that you become the chief people officer. मैं आज से काफी साल पहले की बात कर रही हूँ जब chief people officer was not even a designation which was known to many. So he told that you become a chief people officer. So I told that sir, उसके लिए बहुत time है for me to become because I am just 5 years old to this organization. एंड प्रॉब्ली चीफ पीपल ऑफिसर्स बनते हैं जब लोगों के पास मिनिमम 15 साल का एक्सपीरियंस होता है. सो एंड देन दे आर पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट्स. So I went to a CII meeting and I was the youngest HR professional sitting in that meeting and representing the organization. So that is how it was. So designations वगैरह तो it's just a state of mind, nothing else. But then yes, if you want to know what designation is, a chief people officer. But if you're working as a consultant, then you are the MD of the organization. That's the way it is. So this is how it is. You drive the organizations rather than organizations driving you. This is how it is.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, what are the HRM strategies related to occupational safety and health during COVID-19?
Okay, so this is a very important and a good question. This what we had implemented in both my organizations. I would definitely would share if given a chance to share the safety protocols which are being implemented. So because the entire policy was devised for my both the clients. First of all is hand hygiene. It is very important that all your employees who are working and who are in basically touch with the आउटसाइड कस्टमर्स. जैसे वहां तो हॉस्पिटल में पेशेंट्स बहुत आते हैं. इवन इवेंट मैनेजमेंट में भी जब वो एग्जीबिशंस कर रहे थे तब भी बहुत कस्टमर्स बाहर से आ रहे थे. सो हु आर इन डायरेक्ट टच विद द कस्टमर, whosoever the customer is, outside person. So they should wear the PPE. PPE is like protective personal protective equipment. So hospitals में PPE है, but बाकी organizations में they should wear basically a mask, which is a must. Second is they should wear a shield. आजकल आपको दिखती है shield, because ultimately we should not be touching our hands. This portion of our hands, we should not be touching mouth, eyes, and nose. Please make it a point. Don't touch it. Just wash your hands and then touch it. क्योंकि हम जब लंच कर रहे हैं, हम बैठे हुए हैं, हम भूल जाते हैं, हम बहुत surfaces को touch करते हैं, and then we just touch it. So this is one thing. Wear a mask, make it mandatory, and have those tags displayed everywhere so that people live in with these protocols of yours that they have to wear the mask. They should not be touching these 3 areas of the face. And if say someone, which is very important, which is a tweak in your leave policy, is that anyone who is suffering from fever should actually work from home rather than coming to the organization and basically spreading that disease. It can be a flu only, but this is how it is. In SPS hospitals, how we used to go about is, you must have heard about swine flu. वहां पर जो हमारी नर्सेज वगैरह होती थी उनको स्वाइन फ्लू वैक्सीन लग जाता था और फ्लू वैक्सीन लग जाता था ताकि उनको वायरल वगैरह हो ही ना. और जैसे ये वैक्सीन आ जाएगी तो ये भी वैक्सीन लग जाया करेगा 2 महीने पहले सीजन स्टार्ट होने से कि उनको ये फ्लू पकड़े ही ना. सो दैट इज हाउ इट इज. सो देयर हैज टू बी वी हैव अ वैक्सीनेशन प्रोटोकॉल आल्सो इन द हॉस्पिटल. So even in one of my other client also we had this vaccination protocol. So the people were vaccinated ताकि उनकी वो leaves ना avail करें and they remain healthy. So that is another thing what can be devised during this pandemic. And apart from it, social distancing, which is very important, has to be maintained. So you have to have your cubicles in such a manner that people are not sitting very close to each other. So this is how, or probably partitions ho jaye, so that at least if they're coughing or whatever it is, they should adhere to the safety protocols of the organization. And you should have a lot of reading material which is displayed so that in a very nice manner we had a germ stopper, a concept of a germ stopper. So there was a kind of a character what we had come up with, and that was a germ stopper. So it was displayed everywhere that these are the processes and the protocols you have to follow while you're working with the organization. So this leave policy is very important, that anyone who is like unwell and then temperature reading is a must. So koi bhi aata hai without temperature reading, that person cannot come and enter the organization. So these are the things. There are a lot many things, but these are just, I'm sharing a few things which are very important for a layman to understand.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I think we should wind up now since there's a paucity of time and we cannot take all the questions. So thank you so much again for patiently answering all the questions. And I would want to thank you for adorning this webinar with your presence and sharing all the relevant information with us and the students. And on behalf of the entire management and the students, I again mention my deep sense of appreciation for you, ma'am. And we really look forward to having you here in the campus. And I'm sure that students want to interact with you. And even we would want to interact with you. So let's just hope that things get better soon. And we would love having you here with us.
Thank you so much. And I wish everyone stay safe, stay at home. Don't party now because it's New Year's, which is coming. So don't party, stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.